Hello and welcome to the 40th episode of the Special Needs Voice podcast. My name is Aaron. Our goal of this podcast is simple: to share the stories and perspectives from the top leaders in our special needs community. By the conclusion of each episode, we hope you have laughed at least once, learned something new, and are better equipped to handle your next challenge. Today, Director of Special Needs Services Randi Gillespie is joined by Jayme Powell, CEO of Trove Market, a national nonprofit e-commerce platform designed to remove barriers to self-employment for individuals with disabilities. Through its successful online platform, Trove Market empowers creators with disabilities to showcase, sell, and ship their products across the country. In this episode, Jayme shares what inspired her to join Trove Market, including her perspective as a sibling of a loved one with a disability. She discusses how Trove Market helps creators turn their talents and passions into economic opportunities, highlights some of the inspiring success stories she has witnessed during her time as CEO, and shares her vision for expanding opportunities for individuals with disabilities through self-employment.
I want to welcome the CEO of Trove Market, Jayme Powell, to our podcast. We are super excited to have her here. Welcome, Jayme.
Thank you so much for having me, Randi. It is such a pleasure to be here.
We're going to just dive right in because you are fascinating and Trove is fascinating. And I'm just going to dive right in with my first question, which is, we are very interested in your background and how you and Trove sort of found each other and what personal or observed experience with disabilities led to building Trove, which is the e-commerce platform focused on entrepreneurship for people with disabilities.
Yeah, this is this is an interesting one, and I'm coming off the heels of both fundraising and awareness focused event last night, where it was really the first time that I was bringing together and merging my personal background and my lived experience with my professional background in economic and workforce development, and specifically mitigating structural barriers to employment. And it is personal to me. This mission is personal to me. I have a sister with autism who struggled through the entirety of her educational career and persisted to really struggle to navigate her early workforce journey. And, I've been by her side every step of the way. And, thankfully, she has that strong family unit to help guide her. And it still remains incredibly difficult. And so, my background in education and workforce development led me to meet our founder and board chair, Dave Meter. And so I'd say years and years ago, he recruited me away from, my prior career in corporate philanthropy, where I still focused on education and workforce development, to lead more regional workforce development, where we worked hand in hand on addressing critical structural barriers to employment. And Dave Meter, our founder board chair, has a daughter with autism. And so we have a lot of shared lived experience. And so while we, of course, commiserate in moments, we really go down rabbit holes on the opportunities and where those opportunities are currently absent, and the frustrations we share with our traditional workforce systems and employers. And while they try their best at times, it's difficult hiring individuals who have a range of needs, a range of critical supports that are necessary for them to be successful in the workplace. There's a lot who just shy away, and what it has left us with is a really steep challenge that not just the state of Michigan or the state of Illinois, it's this whole country is facing, which is a challenge of equity. And so when Dave and I met, and Dave really came up with this idea of how to create a self-employment strategy that is central to how our state and our country represent competitive employment. There was no e-commerce platform that wholly supported creators who had disabilities. And it was really through my last role that led Dave and I to think through how we can really go on this journey together. And so it was until November 2025 that Dave and the Trove Market board appointed me as CEO, and the new journey began. And within literally a month of me starting, we went from testing and iterating on the platform to really launching full scale. And so it's been a really exciting journey from the beginning, but it really stemmed from Dave and my lived experience, having loved ones with a range of disabilities, not just being on the autism spectrum, and understanding that journey for the millions of others across the United States. And so what did we do? We started building our army of Trove Market supporters who were all in on our mission. And so we're grateful to have made the progress that we've made so far. And it's not, it's only because of those supporters.
It's pretty fascinating how quickly you guys started from spearheading and thinking and, what to kind of plan out to how things are now, which are full on, a full website, full Trove supporters, full fund, almost full funding, but you're doing an incredible amount of work in such a short time. What I find even more fascinating, but being in the disability field as a parent and professional, most partnerships really just start out. The partnership that you and Dave have is incredible, but not so incredible because of your like-mindedness, because of your shared experiences and backgrounds and loved ones with disabilities. That, of course, when two very smart, educated individuals with shared experiences come together full force to create something within the community for the disability community, of course it's going to be successful. And that is not surprising to me. Most partnerships like that are successful or are so creative or do have that, loved shared experiences that just create opportunities. And that's what I love about Trove. So for families and caregivers listening who have a loved one with a disability that may be interested in starting something independently, walk us through how Trove Market works. Like, what does the journey look like from the decision to sell a product that they've developed or are launching to growing that business?
Yeah, and I think it starts even before that because some people, like my sister is a really good example. My sister's 37 years old. She tries really hard to work and maintain part-time employment, but it wasn't really until I became the CEO of Trove Market that she thought about what it could mean to be self-employed. She didn't have a product, she didn't have a service, but what she craved was socialization, stability, routine, empowerment of self. What she craves more than anything is independence. And Trove became a mechanism for that. I think she saw Dave's daughter, Belle, who probably earns like $1,000 a year, maybe. I think she works 4 to 5 hours a week part-time at English Gardens. And what she earns, she spends in Uber rides. She probably spends more in Uber rides than she earns a year. Within the first week of her selling her products, she had existing products, and she was making greeting cards at home and kids slime kits. And that was really a lot of the inspiration that Dave had to explore self-employment as a real strategy. She sold $1,000 worth of product in the first week of launching Trove Market. And thankfully, we had a really good storytelling outlets like the Detroit News, who featured us during Thanksgiving week, and that brought us a lot of great attention. But what it showed us was a really important case study for the millions of other Americans who are like Belle or like my sister Brittany. So Belle is an example of somebody who had that entrepreneurial spirit, was creating products and ready to sell them with some support, learning those kind of digital tools that we're creating to sell those products online. But my sister Brittany didn't have products. And so her journey started from, I need an idea. I need to solve a problem. I need to look at my surroundings and see, what do people need every day? And it started because she watched my mom playing cards with her girlfriends and watching cards, like all the extra decks on the table, spill over. And so for her, it came from, how can I help my mom? How can I help them stay organized? What about little card holders? And her dexterity is challenged. So she was thinking about, what is a light touch way to create something that is mine, that I can do and that I can sell? Because not only is her independence also is motivated by money. How do I independently be economically independent? So for her journey started from, I need an idea. I don't have a product yet. So there's a lot of families. And frankly, if I didn't take on this role, I think it would probably take them a while longer to get started because it's scary. It's a scary stepping stone to take something new on. And I encourage families to consider it because there is so much upside and benefit to thinking about being a part of this community that Trove Market is building, to help fostering that level of independence, not just economic independence, that social independence, and to create that routine, to create that excitement for every order that comes in. And what you do is you refine and you practice and you build your routine, and it becomes quicker and quicker every time you do it. So while it took my sister and I a few minutes at the beginning to upload her first product within the platform, after a few tries, she was able to do that more independently because it was the routine. And so for families who are listening, I'd say to get started as easy as going to trovemarket.com. Go explore first. Go see what other entrepreneurs are doing. And I say entrepreneurs, we call them creators, because you don't have to have a formal LLC. You don't have to have a formal business structure. We're in Etsy-like platforms. So if you think of like a for-profit competitor, quote unquote, you don't have to have that formal business background. You just need to be a crafter, a creator, somebody who is, you might be reselling a wholesale item, but in all, we're here for those who are creating and crafting at home. And very soon we'll be open to not just products, but services. And so for families who are thinking about, how do I get my young person, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, my parent, how do I think about keeping them busy, keeping them productive, keeping them energized by something? Trove Market is a really, really great outlet. And so for people like my sister, for people like Belle, I'm sitting down and having conversations to help encourage people and help them understand exactly what it means to open your digital storefront. And what it requires is two things. So to be eligible to sell on Trove, it's only two things. One, you have to have a disability. And that disability, we align ourselves with the ADA's definition of what it means to have a disability. So it can be a temporary or permanent disability. It can be cognitive, intellectual, physical, developmental. And so it's the full range of how the ADA defines a disability. So you have to have a disability. And the second eligibility criteria is you have to be a low income earner. And so what we quantify that to be based on the IRS's definition for us is at 250% of the federal poverty level, which is roughly $39,000 ish, 39,650, if I'm not mistaken, was the 2026 threshold at 250% of the federal poverty level. So if you as an individual have a disability and are earning under $39,000 in change a year, you are eligible to sell on Trove Market. And so what I would first encourage is you to explore what's on there already. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? If you're not already creating products, there's a lot of great organizations out there. Even some quick Google searches or AI tools can help you figure out what is easy to make, what is aligned with my abilities, and what can I sell? What can I package up and ship across the country? And so those are some early considerations, but it is as easy as going to trovemarket.com, clicking the button that says become a seller, and following the prompts that allow somebody to go step by step. And it's pretty simple. We've tried to design it with an accessibility first mindset, and we have a really steep set of accessibility trajectories for ourselves. So our goal is to be the most accessible e-commerce platform in the world. And so we've got a 5-year journey ahead of us, but we're building with and for our community. So every step of the way, caregivers, parents, nonprofit service providers, school districts, and individual creators are side by side with us, helping design the platform to make sure that it's the best fit for them.
You talk about the level of excitement that the creators have when, they get their first sale. It prompts me to ask the question, what changes have they themselves noticed, and maybe their family members have noticed, regarding their confidence, independence, or just overall quality of life from when they first started to where they are now?
That's an interesting question, and it's a really good one, because what I love nothing more is to get text messages from my sister about her 15th or 20th sale. I get a text message every time she has a sale, and she's just as excited from the first sale as she is the 20th sale. And so those anecdotes surface in my inbox all the time from new sellers who said, I just got my first order. And whether that also comes along with, can you help make sure I'm doing this right? Absolutely. And so Trove Market requires, and I require of my staff, to provide really deep hands-on support to help build that set of confidence. And so I get beautiful emails, voice notes, text messages from sellers and their families every step of the way, but most importantly, when they make their first sale. And so that comes with immense gratitude and excitement and enthusiasm. And what it does, it propels each one of them forward. So I remember sitting down for the first time. We just launched our school-based partnerships. And so we just signed our first agreement with Detroit Public Schools Community District. And what I remember Principal A talking about with Drew Transition Center was that, they already have some really, really wonderful programming, but for those who don't have that opportunity, that principal talks, about how those individuals who don't have that opportunity will sit on the couch for the next 70 years, isolated. And when they have gone to sell their first product, those kids are coming down the hallway, high-fiving each other, high-fiving the principal. There is nothing more beautiful, more endearing, more authentic and organic than having our young people and or elder sellers to feel the ability to reap the benefits of something they put their heart and soul into. Because unlike others, that's exactly what they're doing every day. Trove Market sellers are putting their heart and soul into every single thing they create, and therefore it makes it that much more exciting when somebody else buys into that.
You have this vulnerable population that is being seen and heard, and
Maybe
that's
for the first
huge.
time.
Maybe for their first time, exactly. That's pretty powerful, even from a standpoint of, a middle schooler or even younger. And I certainly do not want to gloss over the piece that you are working with the Detroit school system. That is huge. As a parent of a 21-year-old daughter, my daughter Maddie has Down syndrome. She is in her final year of transition. And I can tell you that the struggle is real when it came and when it comes to those vocational opportunities through her transition department. So much so that often I ended up creating her own opportunities based on her skill sets and abilities and through my own networking. So I'm thrilled and was over the moon to learn that Trove is collaborating and partnering with public school systems and transition departments and hopefully throughout the country. I would like for you to share with our listeners just how important it is to start this vocational piece or process early, whether that's connecting with the schools, collaborating, sharing your mission, providing the education behind it, working with families, educating families, having families kind of begin to figure out what those skill sets and passions are, maybe before the age of 14, when typically, or 14 and a half, when transition is supposed to hit, in air quotes. Much of the people that I know, including myself, started that transition process well before the age of 14, and it still was problematic and challenging. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, I don't have children myself, but I can imagine, you as a mom, I mean, you're thinking from the very early age how you're going to support your child in their older years as they're transitioning from education to potential employment. You're always thinking about what comes next and how can I support my young one be successful. That's all you want, is to see your child be successful. And I'd say, our school-based partnerships and vocational and transitional programming supports is the most exciting part of our journey so far. We launched Trove 7-8 months ago, and this was always a critical part of our mission, which is to provide that kind of transitional support where, we all know, but federal law requires every student by the age of 16 to have a transition plan. And that's extraordinarily difficult when there is not a very clear path forward to post-secondary or directly to the workforce. When those opportunities look different, transitional supports have a different set of requirement for students with an IEP. And so Trove Market becomes a real outlet and real work-based learning opportunity that gets students to build the digital skills, build the communication and literacy skills that allow them to describe their products, price their products accordingly. So they're infusing those math components that help them understand how much are they spending on their materials and supplies, how much time and effort are they putting into it, how much are they going to sell that product for. So they're learning these entrepreneurial skills while they're in middle and high school to then be able to graduate with their own micro business, their own storefront on Trove Market. And so Trove Market becomes a real opportunity for school districts, ISDs, independent schools, charter schools to think holistically about how they support their students with IEPs and truly integrate additional vocational and transitional supports that allow students to graduate not just with the experience and the skills, but a real earning opportunity, which is Trove Market. And so we are continuing to build more sophisticated functionality that allows nonprofit service providers and school districts to support independent artists, whether, each, like Detroit Public Schools as a primary example, right now they'll have their own school-based storefront. And eventually they'll be able to not just have their own storefront, but they'll be able to support individual artists who attended or currently attend Detroit Public Schools to help them manage their own storefront where they can earn independently with the support of a staff member or a nonprofit organization. Because what we understand is some individuals with a wide range of abilities may or may not ever be able to fully and independently operate their own digital storefront. They may always need some semblance of support.
Right.
Some may be able to develop the skill sets to independently manage it, whether it's in a month or 3 months or 6 years. So we are creating a multitude of new functionality, unlike what any other e-commerce platform offers, to provide that holistic support, not just to the individual creator, but to their loved ones and their networks who are supporting them on their journey through and through. And so it is the most exciting part of our journey to be able to roll out our K-12 vocational programming and transitional supports, because there's just an absence of it nationwide. And so we're starting in the state of Michigan, creating those case studies and toolkits for other school districts and ISDs to replicate nationwide.
That's huge. I don't even know what else to say other than that's so impressive. And I really do look forward to seeing and hearing and, sharing that information once those toolkits are developed and, presented elsewhere. That would be just fascinating for so many across the country. Final question. What does the future look like for Trove, and what final message or encouragement would you like to share with families and loved ones supporting somebody with a disability who has dreams of greater independence or purpose? Like, what do you think?
Oh man, I have a lot of thoughts.
Loaded question.
It's a hard to wrap that up in a nutshell, but from a vision standpoint, Trove will be a great equalizer for people with disabilities. We really came into the inception of Trove recognizing that skills and abilities and talents are universal, but our opportunity certainly isn't. And so Trove will become that great equalizer. And the vision is to become the world's leading accessible digital marketplace that wholly supports individuals, nonprofit service providers, and school districts who support those with a range of disabilities. And so, we see ourselves as becoming that global e-commerce marketplace leader, specifically supporting those with disabilities. That's a steep trajectory that we're on, but one that we feel extremely confident about. And what I hope families take away from it is you're a part of this journey, almost whether you like it or not. You're a part of the community. And the beautiful thing about this community is it is the strongest community I've ever been a part of. I'm a part of a lot of different communities, but this is a community that shows up for each other relentlessly because they have to. They've had to figure it out every step of the way, how to acquire government benefits, how to navigate all systems, education systems that weren't designed for you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, a hard reality to face. But what it forces is community, unity, and togetherness. You have to share information. You have to, be arm in arm with your neighbor that you may or may not know, who probably need to learn from your journey a bit. And so Trove is on that journey with you. And so we aim to support you holistically. And whether you're just rah-rah supporter of Trove and here to share about Trove Market with your network because it does offer really unique opportunities, we are grateful for that. So what we hope is that at a minimum, you become aware of what Trove Market is doing, what we're offering. Maybe you go purchase with a purpose. You purchase with your hearts and your soul because those that are creating products and offering services on Trove Market's platform are doing it with their hearts and soul. And by making a purchase on Trove, you're making a real impact. And so, what we hope is that you become a part of the Trove Market community, whether you consider becoming a seller, whether you're considering purchasing from an existing seller, whether you're helping to share it with a school partner or a disability serving nonprofit organization that has makerspace. Our community is the strongest community I've ever been a part of. And I am just so lucky to be a champion within the community. So I'm just grateful to be here, to be sharing this with you, Randi, and all of those listeners who could potentially benefit from what Trove is offering. So I'm grateful to you and all of what you do to lift up organizations like ourselves who are just here to offer something to our community.
Jayme Powell, CEO of Trove Market. This has been fantastic. You are a pistol, a firecracker. The passion that you have for your family, the community, our collective disability population is just wonderful. And I am so grateful to you and Dave for putting this together, for helping the creators, for establishing systems and policies and really shaking things up. I'm excited for everyone, and I'm excited for my daughter to hit the play button on Trove and check it out herself. So
I love it. If your daughter has questions, give me a shout, Randi.
Thank you very, very much. It's been fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely.
Thank you for listening. Please refer to the show notes on how to connect with Jayme. If you would like to suggest a guest for a future podcast, please email me at aaron@oakwealth.com. See you next time.